Competently begin our meeting. Call to order.
Calling the roll, Ms. Simon.
Here.
Ms. Brown. Here. Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones is absent at the moment. Ms. Stevens. Stevens is absent at the moment. President Brady.
Here.
We have a quorum. Also like the record to reflect that Councilman Miller is in attendance.
Thank you so much. Do we have public comment?
Yes,
Madam
we
Clerk?
do.
Okay.
First person is Mark Dent.
So today I figured I'd dress down and I noticed everybody was dressing up. So anyway, I am here for the plastic bag thing. What I want to talk about is, first of all, I drove here in a vehicle running on petroleum oil. We use plastic and we use petroleum in everything we do in our lives. I realize that going and banning plastic bags is not going to fix every last problem we have. But what I look at is it's a small step. It's a small step forward, something we can do, something that's tangible, that we can begin to change the way we deal with things and what we look at what we're doing to our environment. One of the things I look at is in the 50s and 60s, we had lead with lead paint. And the benefits that they got from using lead in the gasoline, using lead in the paint, you know what? We're still cleaning up from that. I don't want my children, I don't want the next generation to have to clean up our messes just because I don't want to be inconvenienced by having to bring a bag with me when I go to the store. And so, is this going to change everything? No. Is this a step in the right direction? Yes, it is. Just like when I run 5Ks. When I go on a 5K, I take that first step. And I keep going and I run the whole 5K. You know what? Without that first step, I'd never complete the 5K. What we're looking at right now with the plastic bag ban is to do something, is to begin that first step that we can take and build upon and figure out better and more constructive ways which we can do things that won't totally alter our way of life, but at the same time be good for the environment and not have to leave the mess for someone else to clean up. Thank you.
Justine Smith.
I also support the ban on plastic bags. The bags, we all know, are creating pollution in our waters, in our sea life. I think also it's one step towards doing something about climate change. I saw something on 60 Minutes where the 9 and 10-year-olds are asking the adults, what are you doing about the environment? Because they're the ones that are going to face the worst effects of all the pollution and climate change. 9, 10, 11-year-olds asking, what are we adults doing? And I feel that we could join 200 plus cities and towns and some countries here in Cuyahoga County and ban the plastic bags. I also feel that the cloth bags are not really a hardship. I'm 71 years old and I can carry cloth bags and handle it. Other people can too. Here's a cloth bag. It's very sturdy. I can fit it in my pocket. I can put bags inside of bags. The other thing is I'm disturbed by seeing a lot of times cashiers double bag groceries because they're heavy. So this is, we already have millions of bags polluting our environment. These are sturdier than the double bags. These don't break. I can put something really heavy in here. And I think the nonprofits and the businesses will step up and provide free bags for people. I don't think it'll even be a hardship. This bag I got for free at a festival. I have lots of them. They're always giving them out free. So I think they'll step up and do that.
Fran Minch.
I'm Fran Minch, and I'm co-chair of the Water Committee. I'm a volunteer with the Northeast Ohio Sierra Club. By banning plastic bags, you are addressing a difficult social problem, and I do commend you for that. Some people on the ideological spectrum love to jump in and ridicule and demean any kind of issue that seems connected with the environment. What they fail to realize is that the concern about the environment is not about tree hugging or romanticizing Mother Nature, but all about public health and local economics. Big picture, according to the National Geographic December 2018 online article, microplastic and an entire plastic bag were found in the Mariana Trench, one of the deepest parts of the ocean, 6.82 miles below the surface. Plastic pollution has been found in the Arctic and in the highest part of the Alps. By putting this plastic bag ban in place, you can help free us from the microplastic and its health risks. You can free up our economy to move into new forms of packaging and to help solve our landfill problems. Good things will come from this ban if we are not afraid to try to live a little differently. You have the power to do that for our community. On April 15th, the Toledo Blade reported that the mayor of Toledo, Wade Kapsukowicz, wants more pressure to be put on the agricultural industry to stop polluting Lake Erie. As you know, Toledo's water has been poisoned by algal blooms in the past, and it can certainly happen again this year. He is quoted as saying, "There is no fight about the health of Lake Erie we would run from." I hope for the sake of our health and our local economy that you will feel the same way and do not run from this fight. Thank you.
Kathy Schaefer.
Kathy Schaefer from Urban Issues Committee, Sierra Club. Cuyahoga County has the largest population on Lake Erie and is capable of the most amount of pollution. Plastic bags and waste, we create a lot here. We should start here. Mr. Gallagher was nice enough to come to our plastic bag meeting that we run on a regular basis, and he was talking about we should go to the state for this issue, not the county. I don't agree with that because Ohio is not a progressive state in any way. It's regressive. And I say that because we've gutted our sustainable energy law. That was Senate Bill 250. Ohio was a model program for consumer protection. That's gone. Ohio was tried to sell Lake Erie water at one time, but Michigan and Canada stepped in and said a few words about that and stopped it. Our gun laws are seriously lacking. So we're not California or New York State here at all. We must start here as the state is biting at our heels to stop local initiatives. And we see in local control has been happening with fracking, no local control with that, mandatory pooling. Mr. Gallagher was worried about seniors. There's a whole bunch of seniors who are really for this and certainly capable of doing it, carrying a cloth bag. I was talking to a woman whose son lives in Germany, and she said if someone wants a bag in Germany, all they have to do is pay for a cloth bag, and that really reduces for the paper bags as well. So that could be eliminated too. This issue is a political issue and a moral issue. Toledo voted for the rights of Lake Erie to be clean. Cuyahoga can be one giant Aldi's. That's the way I look at it. I mean, people who shop at Aldi's, they know the drill, and it's crowded. People go there all the time. Thank you.
Next is Ed George.
Yes, I'm also here to speak on behalf of the plastic bag ban. I'm Ed George. I'm a resident in Cleveland, Ohio. Mr. Miller's district. I'm fortunate to live within walking distance of both the metro parks and a large shopping center. So I get the benefits of the beauty of the park, but I also see the plastic bags blowing through my neighborhood, blowing into the metro parks, caught in the trees, caught in the birds' nests, which just fell in the rainstorm this weekend. So I'm fully in support of the ordinance, but I do have a couple of things that kind of jumped out at me that I wanted to talk about really quickly. In Section A, it talks about it being both non-compostable bags and also compostable bags. That, to me, I think needs to be thought about a little bit more. There's a lot of plant-based materials out there. There's a lot of research and design being put towards more plant-based materials for compostable bags that break down more quickly, that I think could be used. And then I've also got one in Section A.4, a bag used to package a bulk item or to wrap a perishable item. The term bulk to me seems very generic, and so I brought two examples from where I work. So you probably wonder what in the world would go into a plastic bag like this, right? Blueprints, right? So instead of using a tube, blueprints can go in something like this. Or an even larger bag, right? You might think, what in the world goes into a plastic bag this big, right? Printed materials on foam cores. So like when somebody would come here for a presentation and put that on an easel, you're not going to put that in a box, you're going to put that in a plastic bag. So just some things in terms of that terminology for bulk. You've also got a reference in there for newspaper bags, right? So I just think there needs to be a little more thought put into some of those descriptions. Personally, for me, I don't know how the products where I work, where we sell them, and I'm off the clock, so I'm not going to mention where I work. I'm not really sure how we would package those materials to allow people to carry them and move them without them having to ship them. So those are my comments. Thanks.
Next is Brian Taylor.
Oh, yes, as mentioned, my name is Brian Taylor. I saw somebody being very clever about bags a couple of years ago in town. This is a T-shirt manufactured by the Red Cross, and I cut the arms off and opened up the neck a little bit, sewed it up here at the bottom, and I guess I'm recycling too, just to start off, but should last me a year or two, I think. I have a photo of a mature turtle with a plastic ring from a six-pack that has reshaped the turtle into the shape of an 8, not our usual oval that we like to see. Let's not let the profit and the profit motive cloud our judgment in really thinking and caring about what we're leaving for future generations. I am allowed to volunteer with teens, to mentor teens through the library system, and it's great to see hopeful faces, hopeful for the future. So definitely, I do support the plastic bag ban. Thanks.
Next is James Meerdink.
Hi, thanks for having us here today. My name is James Meerdink. I'm actually a resident of Brecksville, and I'm actually from a family of small business owners as well. Brecksville, we have access to both the metro parks, a unit of the metro parks, and we also have access to the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. So we have a world-class metro park system. We have, used to be a recreation area, now it's a national park. And I think that's really brought a lot of prestige to our region. Obviously, it's a great place for recreation, fishing, kayaking, just getting out with the family. it's also a real boost to our economy with people actually coming in from other states, other parts of the urban area or the metropolitan area to use our parks. So I think this bill, which I fully support, is a big step in kind of showing and continuing our I guess, cultivation or fostering a good environment for recreation and for the environment. I also, I know this as a family that has done a lot of small business stuff. I know there are arguments on the other side that this is a burden on small business, but I've been other places, Texas, New York, just passed a plastic bag ban where that can be overcome and that can be dealt with. And it also, I think, pales in comparison, that burden to the money that you actually have to pay to clean up plastic bags really all throughout our environment. So I fully support this, and I think a lot of people in my community do, and a lot of users of our park system would be very pleased if you are able to pass this. Thank you.
And the last speaker is Constance Frederickson.
March 21st, Dr. Michael San Clements was the author at a library, Rocky River Library, and he presented a summary of his book. And one of his points were that the half of all production of plastic is used once, single use. So if that is the case, that means that what we are proposing today has a significant impact on the environment. Half of all plastic is single use. If you think about the municipalities, we have about 385, plus several states, plus Hawaii. We are all joining together to make this different than it has been in our environment. And I urge you to promptly move for this reasonable policy ordinance.
Any other public comment?
No one else is signed in.
Thank you. Okay, so we are going to approve the minutes of April 4th. If I can have a motion to approve? All in favor? Aye. I'm going to, without objection, change the order in which we address our ordinances today that are on the agenda. So I wanted to switch out and hear first the College Now ordinance 2019-0006. Any objection? No objection. Can we have a reading of that ordinance, Madam Clerk?
Ordinance number 2019-0006, amending section 804.01C1 of the County Code to expand the list of eligible institutions of the post-secondary college or university scholarship program from those located within Cuyahoga County to those located within the state of Ohio.
Thank you so much. This is an ordinance we discussed at our last committee meeting that would amend our educational assistance program ordinance as it relates to College Now scholarship. And I wanted to know if Kitty and Bob wanted to come up just quickly to reiterate why this might be helpful to your program. Specifically, what this does is it changes the parameters in which the students can attend college. Originally, when we crafted the ordinance, there was a sentiment about keeping the students who receive the county money to remain in Cuyahoga County colleges. And I've always been an advocate to be students, central and allow them to, pursue their passions, which don't always fit in a neat package in Cuyahoga County. And so I wanted just a brief, reiteration of what we discussed last time, if you would.
Sure. Thanks for having us back. And as we mentioned last time, state of Ohio has a lot of great colleges and universities, and competition between those universities has sometimes allowed them to focus in certain areas. So where we see the benefit of this program is that a lot of students, or the expansion of the program, is a lot of students would like to study in certain degrees. In certain degrees, there are better programs at different schools. So it's really giving the students, empowering them to go to where they're going to be most successful. There's a wide variety of schools all over the state, from small privates to large publics, rural, urban, and to let them make the decision to go to a school that where they're going to be most successful, we fully support.
Any questions, committee? One of the points that I took in was the equity issue. And it always struck me that how is it fair that students from, our community don't have an opportunity to go somewhere else, and even leaving the environment of their city or this county is so beneficial, I think, for students to broaden their horizons and meet new people and be able to experience other places. So I always felt it was a bit unfair that students who are eligible for this scholarship fund are not necessarily stuck here, because we all love Cuyahoga County, but being able to benefit like other students who have means to be able to travel wherever to get to get an education. So that was a valuable, reinforcement of that.
Oh, good. And if I could also add to that equity issue, sometimes in the state of Ohio, there may be stronger financial aid at another institution that's not in Cuyahoga County. And so that also is an equity matter as well, because even when you layer on this scholarship, it's possible that students could still face a gap here that might be larger than, say, if they were able to use this scholarship in conjunction with aid that would be offered at a school outside the county.
Okay, thank you. So how does this ordinance change relate to your time frame with the next cohort?
Well, I would have to get clarification on when it would be approved. We're going to actually begin selecting scholarship recipients for all of our scholarships next week. We typically try to award them by the end of the month, but it's not necessary. But
End of May.
Sorry, end of
April.
April.
Sorry,
Yeah, end of April. And but we still have a window. As long as students are selected in May, we can still get them in to get their paperwork and decided upon and have them start the school in the fall of 2018.
President Brady?
My own opinion is that I don't see any reason why we can't try to put this on a fast track and get it done next Tuesday. We've had a discussion. I think we know from experience what the problems are, and it's always there's always this tension between people being afraid that somehow good people will flee us and leave. And that's an understandable tension, but it's the wrong approach to think that you need to build fences and to keep your people in, or they'll flee. Because I'll bet you they'll flee if you go that route. And we owe it to our citizens to give them the best chance in an education they can get. And I want to applaud the chairperson for wanting to expand this program, introducing this legislation to give people more alternatives. And we welcome them back, and our job is to make sure this is the kind of place you want to live in and the kind of place you want to come back to.
Thank you. Also, to add on to that, the decision time, May 1st is when students have to make decisions on what college they're going to. So if we could get it done next week, that would be phenomenal, if we could notify them so they know which schools. And to add on to bringing them back to Cleveland, every student, like we've mentioned in the past, is matched with a College Now mentor who volunteer in the community. They're a local person here. And we also, because we want them to come back, but that gives them a tie back to Cleveland. And we do a lot of those matches based on careers that the students are interested in. So they're off at school, but they're still learning from somebody, say, a PwC employee for an accounting major at Miami. Gives them a very good chance that they might come back to PwC because they get to know their mentor and things like that. So we as well would love the kids to come back to Cuyahoga, but to, like you said, force them to stay is not really going to be, I don't think, as effective as making them want to come back.
Okay. Any other question? If not, so I guess I'm going to move this ordinance out of committee with a recommendation for second reading suspension at the next full council meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you so much. This will be on at next week's meeting. If you want to pop in, that would be great.
For next Tuesday.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for having us again.
Sure. Okay. Okay, bag time.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd also like my name added.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. It's been an evolution. with a lot of things. So the next ordinance we'll read is 2019-05.
Ordinance number 2019-0005, enacting Chapter 1304 of the County Code to implement a disposable bag ban.
Thank you. So for today, Councilwoman Stevens could not be here, and I just wanted at least to address what this new ordinance states from our staff. And if you want to just go through it, Mike King, that would be appreciated.
Thank you, Chairwoman Simon and the members of the committee. I'm Michael King, council staff. I'm just going to provide a brief overview of what this legislation does, and then I'd be happy to take any questions. So basically, this ordinance, at sort of a fundamental level, prohibits retail establishments within the county from providing customers disposable plastic bags at a point of sale. So what this means is retail establishments in this legislation include supermarkets, convenience stores, department stores, service stations, restaurants, and other sales outlets. There are a number of exceptions in the ordinance, as was mentioned during public comment, and those include bags brought from home by a customer, newspaper or pharmacy bags, bags used to package bulk items or to wrap perishable items such as meat, fish, produce, baked goods, etc., bags provided by a restaurant to take out prepared or leftover food, bags for dry cleaning, garbage or yard waste, prepackaged bags for pet waste, bags for transporting partially open wine, and bags provided at curbside pickup or point of delivery. Retail establishments may still provide customers a free paper bag to customers so long as it is both 100% recyclable and made from at least 40% recycled content. The legislation also requires retailers to allow customers to bring and use their own reusable bags from home. As for enforcement, the ordinance would be enforced by the Department of Consumer Affairs, and retailers who violate the ordinance would be subject to a civil fine. For a first violation, retailers would receive a written warning. For a second violation, retailers would be subject to a $100 fine. And for third or subsequent violations, retailers would be subject to a $500 fine. And how that works operationally is that, the department would issue a citation, and then if a retailer failed to pay, then we could seek civil action against them, the county. So that is basically the gist of the ordinance. I'd be happy to take any questions about what it includes, but I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Council President.
Thank you. In terms of how the Consumer Affairs Department tries to provide, some guidance here, and are we talking about inspectors from the Department of Weights and Measures as part of their rounds, also making a checkoff list like this? Has that been determined, or is there another way that the Consumer Affairs Department might go about this? How do we go about this?
Yeah, so that actually has not been fully vetted out. We've been having some conversations with the director about how to operationalize this. I know there's some union issues related to the weights and measures inspectors. So we're going to have some further conversations on that. But ultimately, the thought process behind it was because Consumer Affairs does have employees going out doing inspections in supermarkets and similar types of stores, that they would be well positioned to simply notice whether or not plastic bags were being provided. And then separately, we expect that consumers who support the ban will want to report retailers who aren't complying. And so they also have hotlines for people related to scams and other types of consumer affairs. So they seemed reasonably well equipped to address this, but we haven't worked out all the details. We're gonna be discussing it with them. The one thing actually I meant to mention in my overview, the legislation provides that this ban would go into effect October 1st of this year. So there's going to be some time, even if it were passed, in the near term, before this ban would go into effect. So there'd be an opportunity to work out a lot of those details.
All right, well, just as a follow-up, I know it was an obvious thing that with our inspectors going in and out of the grocery stores to check the weights and measures compliance, that they would be in a position to help. I wasn't sure whether there would be an issue with that. I think we need to also be creative beyond that in terms of how people, are able to report to the county what they see, and for us to be able have a process that, gathers that information, and also, very importantly, an education process of some kind between now and October, so that people are as well informed as they, as they need to be about this. So, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Miller, who's a co-sponsor, thank you.
Yes, I would just like to take this opportunity to commend the chair for her leadership in being the prime mover in bringing this very significant legislation forward. And I received testimony just today that on a worldwide basis, the number of single-use disposable plastic bags issued by retail establishments on a worldwide basis is 2 million per minute. It's just totally phenomenal, and the impact that it has on our resources to manufacture and distribute that much single-use plastic is truly profound. And someone may say, well, how much of a difference is it going to make for one county to ban single-use plastic bags? But I think that everybody on this planet is connected, and it's important that we each do our part, and action has to start somewhere, and it's we would certainly not be the first, but we certainly shouldn't be the last, and so I strongly support the legislation and believe it would be a very important positive step toward dealing with this serious problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
There's no other questions. I wanted to make sure there's significant time to do an educational round through the county, and that's why the effective date is October 1st, 2019. And we're actually going to look to see if we can have some kind of media company help us with doing this, so that there's a reason behind this, that it's not just a whim of this county to do something, as seemingly radical as this is in this day, but really want to educate people about why it's important, about what single-use plastic is doing, how its impact is going to be here forever, that, something that we use on average for 12 minutes and lives for 500 to 1,000 years, that's not okay. And in fact, there's not just a throwaway of plastic, because it takes on a different form. And we know that we've got to stop this now that we have information about why. So it's going to be a pleasure to have some town halls, to go into the community and have discussions in the next couple months, and to get some of these procedural matters resolved with the Department of Consumer Affairs. So I appreciate everybody coming out. We're going to have another committee meeting just to talk about a little bit more of the educational piece, and we'll be moving forward to the next committee meeting. So we'll keep it here. Okay, thank you. So we're gonna, without any miscellaneous business on my end, we're gonna adjourn the meeting. Thanks.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
do you have an intention as to when the next meeting is?
May 1st.
May 1st?
Yep,
Okay.
that's the next committee meeting.
Okay, thank you.